So Year 12s, it's time to start gathering information for your connections across genres. I know the due date seems like a long way away, but bear in mind that you've got to cover 4 texts by that time. At this stage, you won't be ready to do your introduction yet, but pause and have a look at the types of things that you would need to include. For example, you'd need the names of all 4 texts and the directors' names. You'd need to have a sentence about each text just to give the markers a bit of context. You'd have to mention what your overarching genre is, and for us, it's crime films. We are at the gathering stage, so this is where you could begin, and we start with a theme. So this is a little checklist for you to go through and make sure that you've got all of this in your paragraph, namely the theme in the first text, and then how it is portrayed or shown in the text. This is really important. You need to include a visual and a verbal technique in every paragraph, and this part is where you are making your link or judgments. So for the first paragraph, I'd be looking at things like the values of the society it was written in. So for example, for us, we'd be looking at the difference between the Amish versus the English society at the time, and then try and think of what the director's purpose was in including these societies. You're going to build quite a monster paragraph because I'm not finished. We need to now look at another text, and we are looking at the same theme. So this text could be one that I've chosen, or it could be the text that you have chosen. Again, you've got to look at how it is shown in this text. Look at visual and verbal techniques, again, very important. And then you again are making your link or judgment, and in this case I've said, how does this theme reflect in today's society or today's world? Remember, it's very important that you compare and contrast. So if you've used the same theme but you found that the directors have used it quite differently, that's a good point to make. So we're on to paragraph 2, but we're still dealing with theme. In this case, you're looking at a different theme, but it is now into text number 3. And again, look at how it is portrayed in this third text, include visual and verbal techniques, and make your link or your judgments. So you could look at the values of the time it was written in, as well as the director's purpose in including this particular theme. So we're not finished yet. We're looking at this same theme, but now we're looking at it in text number 4 and go through exactly the same process. And so on to paragraph 3. So you're given a little bit more flexibility with this question because you can choose which aspect you want to explain, and we're moving away from theme now. So you choose the 2 texts. So it could be your first text and your third text, or your second and third text. That's up to you. And the aspect you can choose from is perhaps symbolism was important in 2 of your texts, or the setting, be it time or place, or there might have been similar characters in 2 of your texts. What about narrative viewpoints? So those are the types of things you could look at. Now we're looking at how the treatment of, say, a character manipulated the way you responded to the film. Again, we want some visual and verbal techniques, and of course, what we learnt about human nature from both of these texts. Okay, and yes, we're wanting 4 paragraphs for this, and really this is an overall view of the 4 texts where you compare them and you contrast them. So you might find that a couple of your texts treated the crime genre similarly, and some would be quite different. So we'd like some specific details as to why you think the directors have treated the same genre similarly or differently. The end is in sight. All we need now is to write a conclusion where you give the purpose of each text and your personal response to the texts and the whole overarching idea of crime.